Regular City Council meeting to order. It is Wednesday, March 14 at about 5:30 p.m. Everyone is present except for Mayor Porter tonight. We have a lengthy agenda item, so we'll keep this moving. Starting with Agenda 1A, approval of the February 28, 2018 council meeting minutes. They're in your packet. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Tim. We have a second by, who wants it?
I'll take it.
Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 1B is approval of the March 14 claims for payment. We'll start with questions with Rob.
No question.
Jen?
No questions.
John?
None, thanks.
Tim? Motion by Tim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 1C is open business from the community. Kathy's short for words, that's surprising. 2A is Mayor's Report, which tonight we'll be reading a proclamation for World Down Syndrome Awareness Day, which will be recognized in the city of Hawarden on March 25th. The proclamation says, Down syndrome is a genetic disorder affecting 1 in over 700 babies, or approximately 6,000 births per year in the United States, and occurring from an individual having a full or partial extra copy of chromosome number 21. Down syndrome is a naturally occurring chromosomal arrangement and is one of the most common chromosomal conditions, and individuals living with Down syndrome are independent, valuable, and active members of our community who are dignified participants in a wide range of educational, occupational, and social and recreational activities. The date 321 represents the uniqueness of the 3 copies of the chromosome 21 and celebrates individuals with Down syndrome. And this year marks the 13th anniversary of World Down Syndrome Day, supporting individuals with Down syndrome and those who advocate for them. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that Mayor Rick Porter of Hawarden, Iowa, does hereby proclaim March 21 as World Down Syndrome Awareness Day, and he encourages the fellow citizens of Hawarden to come together to raise awareness and promote the well-being and success of individuals with Down syndrome and their families. Moving on to agenda item 2B, council comments.
I have one.
Okay.
I just wanted to invite the community to the spring fling that we're having at the community center on Saturday. We have about 25 vendors. It's all full from 9 to 2. Come on down, and then afterwards go downtown and visit some of our businesses.
Great turnout for that first event. Agenda item 2C, staff reports, and I believe Pam really wants to start tonight.
No, she does not.
Okay. Tom?
Our hazardous household waste day is April 6th, and citywide cleanup is May 4th through 6th. We also are going to have a citywide power outage we've been talking about. It is the follow-up to the switch bypass we had put in. They're going to install our new switch, NIPCO will, and it's going to be on April 15th. It'll take 4 to 6 hours, so we're hoping for. In case of bad weather, it'll be on April 22nd. That's all I have.
Okay. Mike?
Right now, we're working with Northwest Iowa Planning on another round of housing rehab grants. Surveys went out yesterday to people in the target area of Avenue L to Avenue D and 13th Street to 18th Street. We do ask the people that get the survey to please return those. We need 80% response rate to those surveys in order to continue. So we're also looking into getting our zoning maps updated. Right now, they're extremely hard to read. Because of the lots that are underlaid under the colors. They were last done in 2006. So we've been talking to Northwest Iowa Planning and ISU on getting those updated and possibly into a GIS format. And then lastly, I'd like to congratulate Tom. He's been selected to receive the Larry Hobart 7 Hats Award. And it's an award presented on behalf of the American Public Power Association and is awarded to those who serve the nation's smaller communities and whose variety of management responsibilities extend well beyond those of a manager in a larger system with a larger staff. Tom will receive the award on June 19th in New Orleans at their national convention. So our thanks and appreciation go out to him.
And are you
Thanks,
accepting?
Tom.
Congratulations, Tom.
looking for chaperones to go along then.
Now I have something to say.
Yeah. Jim, anything from you?
No.
Okay, Corey?
This last couple weeks, we've just been upgrading all of our form systems into a digital format, making things more efficient for our officers. So when they do have reports and stuff to do, they can come in, get everything done on the computer, and get back out on the road and be visible and continue to patrol. It's a never-ending process, it seems. As soon as I feel as if I got a good grip on it, there's another form that pops up. And we'll have, I believe, majority of them implemented next Wednesday. Then we'll have a department meeting and get everything situated with everybody, so we'll be up and running. And other than that, I know the 24th, we have a extravaganza at the high school. I think there's a couple churches that are putting that on, a bunch of kids up there, and so we'll be in attendance with that as well. And I believe EMS and fire will be there for the kids to go through the rigs and the squad cars and ask a bunch of questions and have some good fellowship. So other than that, that's all I got.
Okay. We'll jump down to agenda item 4, third reading of ordinance 700, amending the code of ordinances of the city of Hawarden by amending the cable TV rates. Mike, do you have anything to say on that?
No, again, this is our third reading of that. It's just to get us above the programming cost at this point. So it's necessary to pass on.
Okay. Any other discussion? We have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jen. Roll call vote, please.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Kurth.
Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 5 is the third reading of ordinance 701, amending the code of ordinances by eliminating the penalty of imprisonment for violation of city ordinances. Jim or Mike? Anything?
I think we've probably already said it.
Yep.
Unless somebody has a question.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So move. I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Kurth, Clucky,
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 6 is a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2019 budget. At this time, we will open the public hearing.
I'm Lori Gillen, the director of the library, and I just want to thank all of you for your continued support of the library in this community. We've done a lot of great things this past year, and I'm just so excited about the future for the library. And I invite all of you, if you haven't stopped down recently, please do. I would be happy to show you around and show you what we've been doing. Thank you.
Thanks for those comments. Mike, do you have anything else?
No written or oral comments to me, so.
Okay. At this time, we will close the public hearing and move to Resolution 2018-06, adoption of the fiscal year 2019 budget. Do we have a motion? Moved by Tim. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by John. Roll call vote, please.
Clucky,
Aye.
Kurth, Bergsma,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 7 is Resolution 2018-07, a resolution approving an automatic mutual aid agreement for fire protection between the City of Hawarden and City of Ireton for structure fires. Does anyone have comments on that from staff?
This was put on the agenda. There is currently a 28E agreement in place, and it's just for structure fires only, but it limited the agreement to within the city limits of each city. Well, our fire departments have larger fire districts outside of our city limits, so they wanted that open up so they could keep the mutual aid agreement and the automatic dispatch to the entire districts.
Okay. Any questions from council? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll second that.
Moved by Tim and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Olson,
Aye.
Feldhacker,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Kurth, Bergsma.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 8 is the first reading of ordinance 702, amending the Code of Ordinances for the City of Hawarden by making it unlawful to host an event when the host knows of reasonably should know underage persons have consumed or possessed with the intent to consume a controlled substance or alcoholic beverage, and establishing exceptions and penalties. Mr. Chief, would you like to comment on that?
Once again, this is, in my opinion, something that we must do. You know, our biggest fear is to allow our kids to be in one of these types of environments, and I think, you know, as all of us up here, we have to do the proactive movement and put this in place, one, as a deterrent, and two, if it does happen, it gives us some options that we can use to show people we don't want that to happen around here. So, other than that, I don't think there was any major changes to it, just some
No, we did a
Scrivener's
little
errors.
cleanup of some
Yeah.
typos, but we didn't make any major changes. I haven't heard any comments about it at all myself.
Okay. Anything from council? Do we have a motion? Motion by Tim. Do we have a second? Second by John. Roll call vote, please.
Kurth. Bergsma.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 9 is Resolution 2018-08, a resolution to appoint Michael DeBrine as the representative to the Housing Authority for the City of Hawarden.
What this is they request that each community have somebody on their housing board. It's to meet, I'm not sure how often they meet, if it's monthly or quarterly over in Spencer. It has to do with subsidized housing. Since we do have subsidized housing within our community, we've always had the city administrator on the board. Since Gary has retired and I've replaced him, they want a new representative.
Okay? We have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Jen. Roll call vote, please.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Bergsma.
Aye.
Kurth.
Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 10 is the consideration of a proposal from Dwayne Bonema to purchase city-owned lot at 1020 Avenue I. Mike?
Dwayne came in last week and was looking for any city-owned lots that we'd be interested in selling for the purpose of constructing, as he called them, efficiency housing. He's looking at about 700 square foot properties where they're close to downtown, or if somebody doesn't have a vehicle they can walk to. We went through some of the city-owned lots, and he made an offer on this one. He would prefer it if it could be used for more than one unit. At this time, it's R1 and cannot be. So it may be dependent upon that if it can get rezoned. At this point, I don't think we can rezone. We can't rezone just the one spot, so I don't know if that's going to be possible to be rezoned, but
So should we wait until it's rezoned or not? I mean, we're just spinning
no,
our
I would
wheels.
go ahead with it. The worst he can do is turn it down at this time, and then we still own it. But, you know, he may want to buy it, even though it's zoned the way it is,
What's it zoned at now?
R1,
R1.
which is single family.
If we rezone it, we would probably need to rezone a more sizable area.
Yeah,
with
the whole
more
area.
spots on
Yeah,
it, so.
but that's what I'm saying, if he doesn't, if he's gonna do multiple and it can't,
Right. It,
it's kind of,
I would prefer we just go ahead and decide whether we want to sell it to him or not, or sell it or not, and then I'll get back to him. And then we have to have a public hearing anyway before we can finalize the deal, and we'll know more from him. But, you know, first thing we got to decide is, do we want to sell it? Is that amount going to be sufficient enough for council to want to sell it?
if he's gonna put something on it right away, it's great to help, but if he's not, then it's like, it's not really up to what we're asking for alleys and stuff, right? I mean,
Right. He was, actually, he was in kind of a hurry to get this going. it was an interesting day when he came in, because he came in about 3 times and, you know, wanted to make sure this got on the agenda, because he wants to start on them sooner than later. And he said if he only could build one at this time, he would still look at doing that. He would prefer to put multiple units on, but he said he would start out with one. If it was rezoned or changed before he started building, then he would build 2 at a time.
Okay. Thoughts from council?
I'll just disclose, I kind of have a conflict of interest on any of it because Dwayne does business with me and, you know, I'm also a landlord. I don't think that's a conflict, but definitely with Dwayne, I have a conflict, so.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Is there anything that we do, like put deed restrictions, those kind of things, like see more plans?
We haven't. That would be more under the building permit, as far as if it meets all of our codes that we have under our building permit.
I guess my question was kind of to the same effect, except, is there, I mean, can we put, you know, something has to be built on it within a certain number of time frame, so,
I'm
We've
sure,
done that in the past.
yeah.
What is the timetable we've typically used?
I don't know, I think there was a time, Mow and Glow, we did one on an industrial lot. I think we've done it with Adam Waterman. Of course, we did it with Wiggins, right? I think those 3 come to mind real quickly. I'm wanting to say that with Wiggins, it was a couple of years, but other ones, I think maybe 90 days.
And it does sound like he wants to build soon, so.
And that was, construction has to begin within that quick, so.
Yeah, and then we put a time in for it to be completed, and, I mean, there's various things, you know, you can condition, provided he agrees to it, if you want a certain dollar amount or various things, you could do that, but otherwise it would just be comply with our code.
yeah, I think the dollar amount is reasonable. I don't know what lots are selling for 100%, but it sounds like fairly reasonable price. It's just, you know, whether he can get it rezoned or stuff, I guess that would be on his own to get that done, or whether, you know, he just decides to build one residence on there instead of multiple.
You know, I think that going back to him and letting him know that it is zoned R1 and that's what we should plan on for the time being, and if he's still interested, if we update some of our zoning, you know, we could look at rezoning some of that area R2. There's very little R2 in town, a lot of R1, so maybe we want to increase some of that space for potential growth of multi-units, but I think if we sell it to him or sell it to anybody, it'd be under the pretense that it's zoned R1 at this point, and there's no guarantees it's gonna go to R2.
And we've had discussions when Gary was here, and now Mike and I are again about needing more flexibility in our zoning here in town. You know, just so often we run up against things where we can't allow people to do things that probably would be beneficial if we would just have the flexibility to allow them to do it and then put some reasonable restrictions on it, get some input from their neighbors. So we're trying to look into that now. Or look into it more seriously.
It would be a good time to just visit all of our zoning codes and take a look at it, and I know Northwest Iowa Planning does a lot of that. They said they would be glad to look at them. We could let them know some of the issues we're having, and they could write them into new codes. Some of the issues that I've explained to them, they're very familiar with in other towns, and have explained how they went about doing that. So I was pleased in talking to them the other day, and think that they would have quite a bit to offer us in that.
I'll make make a motion that we accept his offer as is with contingency of construction starting in 18 months.
So you want us to bring back a resolution to be passed for proposed sale?
Right.
I'd second that.
Is 18 months a little long?
My only thought is if there is the chance of planning and zoning taking a look at it.
I, just my feeling in talking to him was that he would probably start building sooner than that with one unit.
Okay.
Make it so that it's either attachable or so it's in such a place on the lot that there would be room for another one if we rezoned it.
Let's go for it then.
Do I need a voice vote or roll call?
You guys can just direct us to come back with the resolution if you'd like, and then,
Is everyone agreeable on that?
but it's gonna be that he commence within what, how many months then? You wanna
18.
18, and complete it within 24? Shouldn't take very long to build what he's talking about.
Sure.
No.
Any other conditions or things that you want on it?
No.
That's good. With the resolution.
Okay. Everyone good with that one? All right. We'll jump back to agenda item 3, hospital update from Jason Pullman.
Thanks a lot. Moved quite rapidly today, but I really only have one announcement, and that is the kind of the open house for the new expansion in the hospital, and that's set for May 17th of 2018. And so we're just planning to have a celebration for the accomplishments and inviting the community and those types of things. So just put that on your calendar. Don't know exactly the time yet, but the 17th is the day that we're going to be doing that. So other than that, everything's going great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda 11, or agenda item number 11 is a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 388-9 to discuss marketing and pricing strategies and proprietary information where the competitive positions would be harmed by public disclosures not required of competitors and no public purpose is served by this disclosure. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session. Moved by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jen. Roll call vote, please.
Bergsma,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Kurth. Clucky,
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
We are 6:25 PM, excuse me. With no other agenda items, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Tim, and we have a second by John. All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.